I want to talk to you about what's going on in this time from my perspective. And I think that would include what's coming in 2025. And by what's coming, I don't only mean UFOs and this political thing or anything like that. When I want to talk about what's coming in 2025, I want to talk about what's going to happen inside for each of us, what's going on as a collective. And before we go into a talk about what's coming in 2025, I want you to hold on to the mantra that everything's perfect. This is a very important mantra because in this time, we're going to all see new realities. And fear is going to come up for every person because life is suddenly different than we knew it to be. In the past, we had timelines, In the 50s, I think a person, no matter what age they were, if you're 50 years old or whatever, you kind of have a vision. I get what life's going to be the rest of my life. I work at this job, it'll be this job again, and that's fine. And that might have happened also in the 80s or the 90s. We're in a time where we now are just openly going, I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen. This is an overall feeling. And so this is a shift in consciousness where the consciousness is, I understand the future. I understand time. I understand my goal. I understand that I have that much money in the bank. I understand that I have that relationship. And so there's not necessarily an investigation into the self at that time. But now, since you don't have that guarantee, there's a lot of fear and a lot of freaking out. And that fear that comes up needs the words to be said by a you in this now. Everything's perfect. Because this fear is going to come up. And it's like, what if it is everything's perfect? Because all that's happening is you're losing your time, but you're not losing, right? You're just here. And you won't be able to function from time. So the only way you can function is now and being in the I don't know. And the I don't know won't only be this mantra that helps. That will eventually be your freedom. In other words, eventually knowing would be too heavy. Knowing what's going on will be too heavy. You want to be picked up by God and not know everything. You want to be held by God. And one of the things we do a lot is we scroll through our phones and we want to know the future, like the timeline future. But I want to dare you to receive the freedom of I don't know, and that's okay. That we've just normalized that you have to know everything going on in every country and every world, what's going to happen, what are the UFOs, when they show up, enjoy them. But at the same time, this part of us that we've made normal to be so aware of everything everyone else is doing, politics, what the media says, what someone says about you, everyone's opinion. This is a giant baggage that we've normalized that we carry, and it's just too heavy now. And if you want to move forward into the future, life is going to make you release those things because they're too heavy. And it's going to be so hard to let God pick you up when you're holding all those things. And so in 2025, it's going to be very hard to be so consumed with gossip, other things, even though tons will happen. You can't be involved more and more because you need to go inward a lot because God is talking to you. God is talking to you 24/7. But we're so busy cluttering the field up with so many other things. And so God can't get you. And so you feel separated, but the factor of you feeling separated is the grabbing of everything else, is the grabbing of all these things that aren't your business, even other people's opinions of you, even what your bank account is. Like, yeah, you can check, but that obsession with my money, with the thing, with the future, that's heavy. And that's all authority that's not God. And God wants to talk to you in this time right now. And God's asking you, please, please, please Receive me. This is the real you, the higher you, the God you, wanting to talk to you. And so it's so imperative that you create space for God to talk to you. Another thing I want to offer you in this time is that as we go into this, because God's trying to connect directly with you, one of the things that I'm discovering are things that help you sleep might actually stop you from sleeping. In other words, you might be so directly connected that it's asking you to relax. And the old us, when we can't sleep, get a bunch of sleeping pills, you get whatever, pharma, or you get, and these things are vibration lowering things that are actually cutting you off from your body's natural ability to fall asleep. And sometimes, if it really calls to you to do that, it's your life, it's not my business. But I do think that right now, Source is saying, I'm directly trying to work with you. And I can take care of everything. I can take care of the bodily functions. I can take care of the sleep. I can take care of everything. I just need you to stop interrupting it. A lot of the things from Big Pharma are old energy that's too heavy to go into the future. And a lot of people that are going to be on those things are going to maybe suffer more, but some of them might be unconscious and not be aware of this. I don't know how it works for everybody, but I know that if you're doing this work, you're moving up in vibration and God needs to talk to you and needs to work through you. I would offer you to really consider making sure that you don't have things like alcohol and that you don't weed, that you don't do these things because these are in the way of the purity that's trying to happen to your body. And I think in the old days, you could do those things and not notice this because the light of the collective consciousness was smaller. But now the light is so bright that if you do these things, you could go off and go crazy doing them one or two times and be like, and not even notice it because in the past we did it. So you'll be like, why is this thing making, why am I so crazy? But you don't realize you might have big pharma in you. You might have alcohol in you. You might be carrying things that are none of your business. This is a direct opportunity for you to work with Source. And so you will find that things that were slightly heavy are screamingly heavy now. And life won't let you get away with it. And if things get off, you just let go of them. You drink some water, you meditate, you go to nature and say, God, take over. Please take over this. Everyone take a deep breath in, release it. No matter what's coming up, remember the mantra, everything's okay. I want you to feel that everything's okay. Because there's going to be times where you're going to feel paranoia. You're going to feel fear. You might feel a fear of death. If you feel a fear of death, you can even say, that's okay. That doesn't mean you'll die. That helps the fear transcend. We're in a time where almost every second you're either thinking from love or fear. If you're thinking from fear, that's just because it's stored in the body. It's trying to come up because it wants to come out. If fear can come up and you allow yourself to be present for that fear, then it can be heard. So it might go, we're going to go bankrupt in a month and no one's going to like us and everything's going to fall apart. And you just hold that space of that everything's okay. That doesn't mean your circumstance falling apart is what you want, but that's an old thing because this is about your connection to Source more than your connection to circumstances. The circumstances will change around your connection to Source. Imagine that the world is mirroring you. As you go up in vibration, the world's going to go up with you. And life will start to make you more and more sensitive to everything that isn't natural for your body to take. So that would include processed foods. For some people, that might include coffee. For some people, that might include whatever, things that don't align with your soul, because you're here to move into a place of you. When you start to do this, you will notice these fears come up and you might go through a literal back and forth of your old life and your new life. You might actually feel a moment of total panic and then bring in a that would be okay, and then feel a connection to God that will move you from that you have free will to everything is divinely orchestrated and everything ever in your life always was divinely orchestrated. It's really weird because the more you realize that you don't have free will, the freer you're going to feel, because free will does bring an aspect of an egoic self. And the free will also creates a feeling of constant burden, constant responsibility, and constant everything's my fault. If you can take in the idea that everything that's going on right now is not only perfect, like it's fine, is supposed to be happening. Everything you're feeling, every off moment, every person we've lost, everything you don't understand, it's supposed to be happening. This is going to help you bring a space of love right now to the energies in your body that you'll realize we're holding on to those things so they can leave. Now, if these things come up and you say everything's perfect, you start to be the space of perfect for the things that are coming up. And then you start to realize you're them and the fear can leave. That's the old 3D you that's addicted to a timeline, that's addicted to holding baggage, that's addicted to just running the mill, that's addicted to being what you do versus what you are. Your what you do is trying to leave. It's what you are now. It's going to require some listening. It's going to require some resting. You got, there's times where it's like, well, I'd like to rest, but I gotta. Life is going to kick your butt if you, I gotta over rest, right? If you, I'd like to, but I have to. Life will, you're in an old dimension. And you can feel that I have to is an energy of survival. We're done with the world of survival. We've normalized living in survival. If you really think about it and you really asked, did God want us all working 8 hour a day jobs, in the 50s and 40s and everything? Probably not, right? So there's a I gotta mentality, but all of that I gotta was the ignoring of I gotta. And God right now would really, really like to finally do what God created you to do. Take in the idea that everything you think of as regret, every mistake you ever made was right, was divinely orchestrated. Everything that's ever happened to you was. When you say no, it wasn't, you're in an this is my argument with what is. And I'm not having empathy for people who've been through horrible things. Absolutely. But your war with it keeps you stuck to it, keeps you attached to it, keeps you that story, keeps you aligned with it. You are more than that story. And if you don't finally make peace with it, forgive it, release it, you're still stuck in an old dimension. Speaking of forgiveness, if you don't forgive someone, you're stuck to them too. You're stuck to them. And very often we think we have to forgive someone to them and get it back. I want to offer you that your forgiveness for someone else actually has nothing to do with them. You can tell them or not, but your forgiveness to them is to free yourself. You have to free yourself from your past, the baggage of your future, the baggage of the world, the baggage of the processed foods, the big pharma, all those things, and now the baggage of your past. We have to bring full forgiveness. You have to let go, truly. If you find yourself stuck holding on to something, you got to say, it's perfect. Everything's perfect. Let it go. You can fall off of me, because if you don't, you're going to bring a 3D consciousness into a 5D world, and it's going to be very heavy. It's going to separate you. It's going to make you feel this pull. And so you'll almost be this kind of bipolar energy where you're down here and then up here, right? And so when you start to bring everything's perfect in, this energy down here can let go. This can let go. It's perfect. And then when these things fall off, remember, it's not like nothing happens. You might go through a little bit of whatever, boredom or whatever, but then you can hear God and God can talk to you. And God not only talks to you, but God works on you. Like God is removing stuff and dealing with stuff and taking care of stuff. And when you release something that you were holding on to, even with someone else, God can now take care of that. Have you ever forgiven someone and then they like call you and apologize before you even told them? Like that, there's a reason we're all tied together. We have these cords where we're tied together. So when you feel you have an issue with someone else, that's because you're holding on to it. You're like, no, they did it. No, you're holding on to it. No, they did this though. I know you're holding on to it. You won't believe what happens when you let go of it. But if I do, then they won. That's not how it works, and that's not true. And we got to stop even thinking in terms of won or lost. As we move up into a higher frequency and you move into light, you want only happiness for the world. You want joy. You want freedom. You want freedom for everyone. You want true freedom for everyone, even people you used to consider your enemies, because we're moving to a higher and higher frequency. And we have to make ourselves receptive to it, or it's going to be chaos. So as you move into 2025, yes, totally enjoy the crazy new consciousness that's birthing. Obviously, in this time, we already know so many things are coming that are changing the reality of how people saw things, whether it's Robert Kennedy pairing with Trump, whether it's UFOs, whether it's P. Diddy, whatever these things are that are making people see things differently. These are crazy things. The good news is it's opening people's consciousness collectively to say, I was wrong about how life works. So there's a humility that's happening all over the planet, like totally. Because if you told someone in the 50s what's going on right now, like that'd be, it'd be crazy. Like it's just crazy. So it's bigger than we anticipated. So we have to like open to it, and we have to go, I don't understand this, right? That's the thing. I don't understand this. Like my mind only grasps what I've seen before. Your understander only grasps what it's seen before. So often things that are bigger than your understander gets are often written off, right? Like I've had someone have a breakthrough and they'll go, I don't understand it. And I'll say, I know. I don't want you to understand it. I want you to hear beyond your understander. And one of the things that's going to die is your understander, and it's going to be replaced by a listener, by awe. Like, what if you just get to go, holy, like, what the, like, instead of, like, it's not going to be a thing you can understand based on what you've seen before. Holy crap. Like, what is this? This is where you start to see everything as perfect and awe. And when I'm looking up, I'm not just looking at UFOs. You're just going to be in awe and shock of how beautiful everything in the world is, because you're not stuck in your head managing everything. So take some time and put your phone down, because it's going to be really, really heavy when you move into this new world. Open your heart up to open your heart up to I don't know is your freedom. And wouldn't it be fun to start living a life in awe, and just like every day is a brand new day that you've never felt, that seeps into your soul and your body and your heart? Every day is a miracle. Every day is freedom. You see God in a whole new level. Like imagine like just being in shock about the world. Imagine crying for no reason. Imagine when you cry, you're crying out your old 3D self that was really just a trauma pattern trying to keep everything together so it didn't get hit when it was 5. Imagine all of that is trying to come to light in this time. And then when it does, it's replaced by this awe and brilliance and beauty. This world is so beautiful. Its beauty is based on the lens you're looking through, because you can put on a filter and think this planet is heaven, or you can put on a filter and think it's hell. When all filters are off, you're just in awe. It's awe. It's even bigger than heaven. It's all that is. It's everything. Heaven and hell are stored within it. It's all feelings. It's all emotions. It's all beauty. It's all love, all fear, but seen through this lens of everything's perfect. From here, there will be so much less harm done. There will be so much less pain. There will be so much more miraculous healings. There will be so much more, just everyone's healthy. There will be so much, goodbye to the old things. And you won't see things like, the processed food companies and big pharma as the enemy. You'll see that was the right match to the frequency that you were in at the time, right? You stop thinking of things personally. You won't even see that person in your life that did something to you as a bad person, or you hope they get theirs. You'll just be like, that would make sense. That's the consciousness that I was in when that person came into my life, right? So we're in a time now where when we move into the future, my dare to you is to be really receptive. You're going to have some hard times and bring in the mantra, everything's perfect, until you release it, until you feel calm and free. And then enjoy a world that nothing that your mind could ever have shown you. You'll never be able to even predict or see what's coming if you make yourself that receptive. You'll never be able to see it or understand it from here. You have to experience it. You know, if you go to a place and go on a ride, no matter how much you explain to someone what Disneyland is, right? You tell them and everything like that, they now understand it. So is that the same as you going to it? You, like, oh yeah, I mean, we're the same. I went to Disneyland and he now understands it. The world that's coming is beyond what you understand. And you're on this planet. You've been asking yourself your whole life, what's my purpose? To experience this, to truly experience the highs and the lows into the awe, to experience the joy and the fear into the awe, to experience that I'm scared. That's an adventure. If you make it, everything's okay. I mean, we want scared in some ways. We watched a horror movie and we watched a, or you go on a roller coaster because it's scary in a way. So make it that way too when you're truly scared. When you're scared about your bank account or what are they going to say about you, make it that you're on the roller coaster. Bring some joy into it. Yay, everything's perfect. It's a safe roller coaster. Whatever the worst you come up with, everything's okay. Because the number one thing that's trying to happen is the end of your fear. And the second you go, that's fine if that happens. If they do that, that's fine. Nothing wins over you. Nothing has you. The second you say, that's fine, go ahead, do it. I'm truly fine with it. Everything's like, no, and it goes because if you don't have fear, you're merged fully with God. Hey everybody, it's Kyle. I hope you liked that talk. And I just want to remind you, I am so excited about our event in Phoenix called Boundaries, February 8th and 9th, 2025. As you move up into a higher frequency of boundarylessness, it is so important to be bringing boundaries to the things that no longer align with you, whether it's alcohol, whether it's too much screen time, whether it's keeping people in your life that don't align with your heart. If you are an empath and you're having a hard time letting go, the Boundaries event is going to be perfect for you. Remember, this is an intimate event. It's awesome and it's going to change your life. There's a few tickets left and I would love to work with you. I can't wait to meet you. See you at Boundaries. And also, I'm lowering my price and doing a lot of one-on-ones right now. So if you'd like to join us, make sure you go to kylecease.com and check out what we have available. See you at Boundaries, or I'll see you on a one-on-one.